Dumoulin takes a look. Deflected, scores! Letang! Could you script it any better than this?
Pitch it to Najee Harris. Harris sidesteps, gets to the sideline. Najee Harris dives for the pylon. Touchdown, Steelers!
I don't think I expected anything less.
That's unbelievable. It is absolutely incredible.
Welcome to our live Pittsburgh Sportsline show in the BPTV studios here at 5100 West Library Avenue in the Municipal Building. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you. Hey, I appreciate you on Facebook. Chuck McElroy, Frank Manna's watching, Teresa Mariano's watching. Appreciate you. I got numbers for you. They updated Facebook. We got on Facebook 6,953 likes. Then Jose Carabella, when we did his event on Saturday, he got us up to 7,453 followers. Wow. Those are all new highs. Then on YouTube, we appreciate you. We're up to 400 again. So we're back at 400. I got the phone. I'm looking at you. Just one person like it with a smartphone. Come on. No, we got a lot to talk about, a lot of sports. First, on a sad note, Smoking Jim notified me last Thursday. He's in the hospital again. Notified me yesterday. He's not going to be out of the hospital today. So if you could pray for him. Again, Mr. Private, I respect his privacy. We won't say what he does say about the hospital, like food and nurses and doctors, but that's Smoking Jim. So if you would pray for him, and I'm going to do a 10-second moment of silence for him. So prayers for Smoking. I'm like Smoking at Graduate Great Gateway. I counted to 11. So we're good. All right, I'm Al Levine, the talking machine. We got Nick, VIP Callis. We got Chip, a Prophet Hayner. We got Ragin' Mike Rohde. And we have some promos, but I got a special thing from Chip. Tell him what you asked me to do. We talked about it last week.
Well, I happened to lay my hands on an extra bobblehead of Paul Skeens that they were giving out at PNC Park.
Yes.
Which was a pretty hot item. They were selling for about $85 a piece for people that were offering money for them as we were walking out of the stadium.
$85 bobblehead here.
So I decided, since I've got a pair at home, that we would do something with...
A pair of Skeens.
I would do something with the extra one that I had. And I called Alan and I asked him, how would you feel about offering it in a raffle to one of the volunteers, because I don't want anybody to feel like we're playing favoritism.
We'll do it.
So what we're going to do is we're going to put everybody's name in a hat.
Give me
and
your
we're going
hat,
to draw
Chip.
We're going to draw their names, and one of our lucky volunteers will get themselves a Paul Skeens bobblehead dog.
I don't know if you can pull up on Michael. We got 7 volunteers, whether they're here or not, and we'll do our best. I'll crumple it up so nobody can see. Marco, I'll just do it for effect. Chance. Myself, I'm out of it. I'm a volunteer, so I'm abstaining. All right, Vinny on camera. Linda, the world traveler. Steve, the MVP, who comes back all the time. And Brad has a baby at home, a baby boy, and he's a volunteer fireman, plus whatever he does. They're all in the hat. Shake it all up. Raging. You're not raging yet. Reach in. I'm shaking them.
All right, let's see.
All
And
right,
the winner is...
this is official. Can't break that rule.
Got it.
You won't believe it's Brad.
All right.
Way to go, Brad. We salute you. We'll have to get that sent to you. Maybe Michael's dad, Johnny, can get it to him, or Michael, but we'll see. That is the winner. All right, promos in 10 seconds. Thanks, Jim.
My name is Nicholas Callis, and this is the Bethel Park Minute. The award-winning Bethel Park Farmers Market is starting back up this week and running every Tuesday through September from 3 to 7 p.m. in the parking lot on Corrigan Drive in South Park next to the ice rink. Bethel Park Recreation is still hiring summer camp counselors. They're looking for boys and girls ages 16 and older. The pay is $13.50 per hour. Go to the Bethel Park website's careers page to apply. Tickets for the bingo night supporting the Bethel Park Historical Society and the Recreation Department are now on sale at the Community Center. The event will be held this Friday with the doors opening at 5:30 and the first game beginning at 6 o'clock. Tickets are $20 in advance and $25 at the door. Mark your calendars for next Sunday, May 18th. Bethel Park Public Works will be holding their annual Touch a Truck event at the Public Works Garage from 12 to 3 on that Sunday. Bring the family for a wide variety of fun and free activities. And Columbia Gas will begin work on replacing a gas main along Oregon Trail and Wells Drive. The work will take approximately 3 to 4 months to complete, and they're proposing to begin on Monday, May 21st. The work hours will be from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Flaggers will be on site for traffic control. My name is Nicholas Callis, and this has been the Bethel Park Minute.
Frank Fanera, owner of Olive Oil's Pizzeria and the Hillcrest Shopping Center on Route 88. Call them at 412-831-1900. Every Tuesday night, Olive Oil's Pizzeria provides the host and the amazing volunteer crew with an XL pepperoni pizza and a full steak hoagie. They are delicious. Olive Oils is proud to support Pittsburgh Sportsline and the volunteers at BPTV. Stay Joey strong. Joey Fabus died at 8 years old of brain cancer known as DIPG. Since then, the family has come together with community members to create the Joey Fabus Childhood Cancer Foundation, a 501c3 nonprofit. Since being founded, they've raised over $100,000. Go to jfccf.org to learn more about DIPG, to help spread awareness, and to see how else you can support and donate towards the fight against this dreaded brain cancer. Always Be Smiling, a 501c3 designed to help children and families in need of kidney transplants. The B stands for Bennett, whose memory is embedded in this organization by his parents, Kristen and Dean. Despite the challenges he faced in his 16 and a half years of life, Bennett always had a smile on his face and spread kindness to everyone he could. Now, Always Be Smiling wants to pass on that kindness. Go to alwaysbesmiling.org to learn more and see how you can support or donate to this organization. The Bethel Park Community Foundation has money for you. I'm Al Levine, trustee on the board of this great organization. The BPCF focuses on raising money to provide scholarships, grants, endowments, and more. Grant requests are available online from $100 to $5,000. You can also attend fundraisers or donate. Go to bpcf.org to get more information and to stay up to date on upcoming events. The Bethel Park Community Foundation, focusing community resources, building for the future. The Bethel Park Historical Society is a 501c3 that serves Bethel Park. The Historical Society operates out of the Schoolhouse Arts and History Center, located at 2600 South Park Road. Look for the red and white trolley right out front. Reginald's Coffee is inside, and I've heard it's the best coffee around. To visit this great historical venue, email historicalsocietybp@gmail.com. Hey, thanks for watching those promos. We appreciate you. And Brad's the winner, so we'll give that to him. And guess what? His baby boy can have a Skeens bobblehead thanks to Chip Hayner. Here, let me just show it. Let Vinny get a little shot on that. Hey, we're honored we could do it. Thanks, Chip. We appreciate the volunteers that put us on Pittsburgh Sportsline every week. 990 shows tonight. 990. 10 more for 1,000.
Nice.
That's where we're at. So
I came on in episode 3.
yeah, Chip missed a couple. All right, let's see. We got a bunch of people tuning in. Helen Schnurr's watching. Margaret Rohde, Frank Manna again. Susan Strandberg. Send Smoking a pizza. We don't know what hospital he's in. Nick Rohde's watching. All right, we got Ollie in. No Smoking Jim, but we got Nick Callis in the seat. So what's on your mind, Nick Callis?
Thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. And if you want the green, you've got to see Levine.
Great imitation.
Can I just ask, what is that anyway? I've been here a couple years and I have no idea what the meaning of that is.
Here's what's silly. You know, I like to rhyme. My name's Alan Levine, the talking machine. Smoking Jim likes to always say Alan Levine, the talking machine, ad nauseum. So he came up with this. If you want the green, see Levine, because we got paid to do some shows for boxing.
Okay.
So he goes,
Got it.
that's where the metaphor came out, that he doesn't understand metaphor.
Well,
Thank you.
Well, and I think a little of it had something to do with tossing the pen, was to irritate somebody that stopped being a part of the show a long time ago.
Yeah, that was one of the things. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
And
I mean,
Nick,
sorry to
that's-
interrupt. I was
no,
just
this
curious.
is. We don't mind. You know, I'll be 69, so we like to reminisce on everything.
There you
Even
go.
we don't know.
That's all we got left.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't know what happened yesterday, but we could talk 10, 20 years ago. And it's just a fun thing that we kept doing. And one time I didn't have a green pen, and I threw it, and he goes, "This isn't a green pen." So I make sure when I go to a bank or whatever, look, Center for Victims. There we go.
Got
so,
it. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, that's a good interruption because we'll let it loose with Nick right now.
That technically wasn't quite an interruption. It was just,
Sidebar.
it was just a thing. So, what's on my mind? So I'm getting excited. It's feeling real. I got a Washington Wild Things shirt today.
Whoa.
So
tell him.
The baseball game is coming soon, June 7th, and it's got real. I started running every day now. My diet's been in order. I can still hit a baseball. Everything's great.
Wow.
So,
you're more energetic.
I am, and I'm really excited. So I get to play baseball again, and there's a lot
Congrats.
of there's
and
a lot
good
of
luck.
anticipation for it among
What
my
position
colleagues.
you playing?
I don't know yet. I offered to play. Let's
He's
see.
playing left out.
I can pitch. I can catch. No, they're playing me. Come on now. Pitch, catch, first base, third base, left field. Those are going to be my 5. So,
Okay.
Crowley doesn't think I can run, though. A lot of people still don't think I can run, but I got a little something. Don't worry. I
Well,
can try.
show him up, kid.
Yeah. I don't have a strong arm anymore, though. My arm's still. I don't know if you heard
Well,
that.
you told me
Ooh,
with the click and
You
the
heard that?
crack.
Yeah, my arm just
Yikes.
clicked. So,
This is live TV and it's no AI.
right. So, yeah.
Gotta
I-
clarify in this era.
Yeah, this will probably be the last competitive game I play in unless I do it again, which would be cool. But yeah, my arm is not in shape, and if I do play again, I'm going to need some Tommy John surgery, I think, because my elbow
I know
is
some
not,
good surgeons.
is not constructed well.
Right there.
Chip knows a couple surgeons
Yeah.
too. I know some orthopedic surgeons.
Yeah, so
They'll hook you up.
everything is terrible. Otherwise, by the way, everything is
Oh,
no
you mean
good.
sports wise?
Yeah, everything's terrible. So the Pirates are they're the only redeeming quality I think the Pirates have, if they have anything, is that they well, other teams have done well. They've come back from these smaller, bad records to then have big, great, high win percentages. The Nationals won the World Series after going 18-31 to start 2019. I think the difference, though, between a lot of those teams and the Pirates is that the Pirates are not constructed in a way where they can, where they have the big name players that like the Nationals signed, or like the Astros last year when they won the division after starting like 12 and whatever. So all is lost, I think, with the Pirates. But we'll see. But I got more to say about what's going on with them later on.
Oh, a tease.
Yeah, the Steelers. If they don't sign Aaron Rodgers, all is lost. I mean, that's pretty much just going to be. That's what it is. I mean, you constructed this entire team around getting him at quarterback, and Maybe Mason Rudolph will play well. I don't know where the Mason Rudolph hate comes from. I mean, he's played not great before, but then he did really well before he signed with the Titans when he played for the Steelers at the end of that season.
He saved
2023,
Tomlin's record, and they got rid of him.
Absolutely could be true, for sure. So he's exciting, I think, personally, but I think having Rodgers would kind of solidify what they've been doing on offense all the way around. And then the Penguins are no good, and now they don't have Mike Sullivan, and it's just terrible. I mean, what do we do?
How quick did he get rehired?
Very quickly, actually. Literally
Rangers,
the
Right.
next
day
day.
I
after,
always say
yeah.
about Tomlin.
Bold
he'd be
prediction coming
hired
here.
by the end of the day.
I'm saying
Pretty
he's
much-
winning another cup in New York.
Yeah.
Whoa, you heard it here first from Chip.
Well, to piggyback,
Sully wins a cup with the Rangers.
Well, to piggyback on that point as well, this is kind of one of those situations where, like, the Steelers could take some note. Like, you know, Mike Sullivan is a good coach, and he very well could be, he very well could win another cup in New York. But that's the thing; it's like that's okay. Like, we're allowed to let that happen. Like, it's fine. The fit in Pittsburgh, though, was not really a good one anymore. So it is okay that happened. And if the Steelers could do the same thing, now Mike Tomlin has had more success than Sullivan, right? They've still been making the playoffs, so that's something. But being without a coach or like letting a coach go after a little while it's okay. I think the Pirates could take some notes for that as well, because Derek Shelton is one of the last managers hired in 2020. I think he is actually the last manager hired in 2020 that's still hired after having the worst record of like managers in that time span. So maybe the Pirates could learn something from that too. Like, it's okay to have that change. 4 years is a healthy amount of time. 6 years in a rebuild, and you start the season with 12 wins. It's no good. So
Nobody
I'm
else wants
complaining
the
a
job.
lot. Like, it's no good. I mean, this
Good point, Mike.
is a special brand of terrible. And I mean, Big Mike was trying to tell me over there before. I was talking up the Pirates. I'm like, maybe there's something that could be here, but I know they still need some, improvements. And I always talk highly about the Steelers. They'll win the playoff game, and then they didn't. So life's tough. Everything's terrible. And it's really hard to also be in the sports media business, right? Like, we all talk about sports every week, and I do it, in the morning somewhere else. It's not fun to do. So I don't know. I mean, we gotta pull a lot of magic tricks out. to
One
talk
Sully
about stuff.
point.
Yeah, go ahead.
He's still a good coach.
Yeah.
He was limited. He needs younger players to play his type of game, and we've been limited on who can back up the big three that we have.
Yeah.
He was handcuffed by
That's
the
what I'm saying.
previous general manager
Well, the big
because
three
he
and the
didn't have the
contracts.
ability to be able to supplement with lower priced players because they had too much invested into too few.
Plus the no trade contracts.
Yeah, Ron.
No, so he was limited. We
And
all
besi-
agree.
And also, from what I don't have inside information, but I read somewhere that Sullivan was, it was a mutually agreed upon
Yeah.
part, but that was because of some non-negotiable demands that
By
he
Sully.
made, but that Dubas wasn't going to honor. So.
Right.
Yeah, no, I think Mike Sullivan had it. From what I understand, Mike Sullivan kind of wanted to be out. And
Well,
he made,
his
like,
hands were tied. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, like, he wasn't. It was a good situation. This is something the Penguins didn't want to get out, but we find our way to information. So
There we go.
no, like, I think
I
Sullivan.
don't care where you get your information. We never let the facts get in the way of our opinions. So carry on.
Yeah, I think Sullivan wanted to get out. Like, he realized it was a bad situation. And Hextall, you could blame Ron Hextall for the entire thing. Like, he did not
Yeah.
set up the Penguins well. Like, that's an obvious take there. It's not.
And don't forget, Rutherford built a team that won 2 Stanley Cups, but he also mortgaged every one of
Yeah,
their
he
draft
left the
picks for
cupboard
for
bare.
half a decade. So they had no way of rebuilding through the draft.
Yeah, but
Right.
then Hextall did like nothing. So
Well,
it's
He's a flyer.
exactly. So right. So you see what I'm saying. So with them, it's all good. Sullivan's going to go have a good career somewhere else, and it's going to be fine. And the Penguins are going to be not great, and this is just something we're going to have to live with. But it's okay, I guess, because I'm sure we'll see it through. Hopefully, yeah, Kyle Dubas.
Well, I'm that positive guy. Guess what? We have 3 major league franchises in our city. How many other towns would like that?
Well, I
Well,
would say others have
can
four.
I throw out a little tidbit? Oh, a birdie was whispering in my ear that don't be too surprised if a megastar from another team in the NHL makes his way to Pittsburgh.
Whoa.
Who happens to be a very close friend of Sidney Crosby.
Whoa.
I'd be disappointed in that. Yeah, I've been
Nathan McKinnon.
Yeah, no, I've been preaching rebuild for a while. It's no good. We don't want that. Not a good idea.
All right. Thanks, Nick Callis. Ann Harder, missing Jim. Just pray for him. He needs it. Hello to all. Handsome panel. Our best to Jim. Thank you. Enjoying the show from Rochester, New York. Nick and Peggy Rohde, the biggest fans in Rochester, tuned in. Thank you for tuning in. And let's go to Chip Hayner. What's on your mind?
Well, what's on my mind? Quite a number of things on my mind regarding the sports world. But, first and foremost, obviously, as a 60-plus year fan of the Pittsburgh Pirates and a proud season ticket holder who's not very pleased with the performance of the team on the field year to date, I do believe that at this point, changes need to be made. And I think that, what the ownership needs to do is sit down with Ben Cherington and say, you find a replacement that can jumpstart this team, or I'll find your replacement, because right now it's not working. It's broken. And something that I was kind of, thinking about is that, we were always complaining over the last few years the Pirates' lack of the ability to hit the baseball was all Andy Haynes' fault. Maybe not so much. I think it's the philosophy that comes from the manager on down, because, he's not going to hire somebody that doesn't subscribe to the vision that he has. And whatever they're doing, it's not working. The Pirates' pitching is good enough for them to be a contender. Okay, their starting pitching has been adequate this year. The bullpen, it needs help, but they've got plenty of young arms in the minors that, these guys that just aren't getting it done, send them down, bring up the young kids, give them a chance to play. But the two things that any contending team has to do and do consistently is they've got to play good defense and they've got to hit. And those are two things that the Pirates aren't doing, and that if they don't start doing it, they're never going to contend for anything. They may even break the White Sox record for number of losses in a season last year.
You heard it here
first. If they continue on this trend. Now, is it possible to turn it around? Yes. I think another voice needs to be the one that does that. And so you bring somebody in, even if it's on an interim basis, while you search to find somebody that's good at developing talent. We can identify talent. We've already proven that we can do that. As far as developing pitching talent, we do a pretty good job at doing that. But developing the talent once it gets to the major leagues, we get players that are good enough to make it to the show. But to stay in the show, you have to take it to the next level. And that's not what's happening with these young guys. I'll tell you something. I would like to see Connor Griffith. I'd love to see that kid and put him in left field and let him, hey, how many 18-year-olds have done it? There's been a few that have come up into the major leagues and played. That would get some excitement going. And putting Tommy Pham out in left field right now, they need to eat that $4.5 million and just realize that, he isn't the player that they wanted him to be. Yeah. And, but I think at this point, looking at the performance of the team, and it's the same thing night after night. We just can't seem to get the clutch hits when we need them. We've got runners on second and third, and you got O'Neill Cruz looking at strike three. Yeah. And he's probably one of the best offensive players you have. I mean, the three best offensive players you have, McCutchen, Brian Reynolds, and O'Neill Cruz, they're mediocre. They're not great, and they could be better. And so, I've always was taught you practice the way you play. Cool. And if they're practicing the way they're playing, somebody needs to teach them how to practice.
Yeah, one side note. I've been a disgruntled Pirate fan, and Drew gives me all the information. By the way, I took Drew. He's going to American Cruise Lines training in Salt Lake City to be a deckhand and travel the rivers in America. Shout out to Drew if he tunes in. Well, he tells me they lose a game last week and gives me the score, and I go, how many are hitting 200? He goes, 6 of them are under the Mendoza line. And that's a starting lineup. And he said one of them's hitting 100. And I go, don't tell me any more.
See, this is the problem I have with the way Shelton manages. To the exclusion of everything else, he manages by analytics. And I just think that's wrong. Nick touched on this last week, and I agreed with him. There is no consistency in the batting order or in the lineup, game in and game out, and you need
Good
to have
point,
that.
yeah.
You need to have that. See
Yes.
that? Well, you know what?
Yes.
Yes. No. And
Yes.
I got to tell you, I agree with you. I've watched baseball for 60 years. Okay, and the teams that are successful, they know who their number one hitter is. They know who their number two. They know who their number three. If you want to interchange,
Hold it,
you
this
interchange
Pittsburgh
your six.
Sportsline first.
seven,
No, it's
eight.
like a 10th now. We've been doing this for a
No,
while.
for 2025. First time in 2025.
No,
Second?
it's
Third?
been like 5 now. It's been
All right.
No,
I
but I've
stand
always been
corrected.
an advocate of giving them a chance to work it out. But they just keep doing the same thing day in and day out, and something's got to give. You
Yeah.
can't fire the players. Okay, so you need to bring a new voice
That's
in.
called a release, yes.
That's good. All right.
Right, but
Hey, Marco Rodi got a comment to make. I usually watch every game, but I haven't watched one since last Wednesday. I have given up.
Oh, that's not good.
Marco, hang in
Marco
there.
Rodi has
I never
given up.
will.
It's bleak.
I never will.
All right, Chief McElroy, Connor is awesome and also heard he can pitch. He is only 18 years old.
Yeah, they're not going to let him pitch, and you're not going to see him until 2028. So
All
sorry
right.
about
Tony from Chick-fil-A. 8 days later, and finally our power's back on. What a wild week for us all. Stay safe. Smoking Jim, come back soon. All right, thanks.
Mine was only
Tony,
out for 18 hours.
Mine was off last week from 5 o'clock when I left to get pizza till 2 a.m. I was one of the lucky ones.
that. I had 5.
Mine came on Wednesday at about 11 in the morning. We lost at about 4:30 or 5 o'clock
Yeah.
Tuesday.
About 5 days.
5 days.
Yeah, Grincher's a little rough.
Wow. Some of
Well, we had to
Bethel,
throw away everything in the refrigerator.
Yes.
some of Bethel was like that too.
I
'Cause
challenged my van. I was out there for a little bit cooling off and charging stuff. So, I mean, you just seen my setup. I had a video on the video screen in the back. I was sitting in the third row playing my Mario Kart watching Survivor. So,
hey, not to brag
You're
about
a very technological homeless person
yeah,
there for a little while.
not to brag about our co-host guy, but he had a choice of 3 different vehicles.
I did. Yeah, I chose the biggest one.
Yeah, you chose the one with the biggest gas tank.
All right, that's a little of our side entertainment there. Let's go to what's on your mind, Mike Rohde.
I don't want to talk about that
All right, we'll
lousy,
move on.
rotten Pirates team. I'm not going to waste any energy. I'll just say this. I think it goes, you could have anybody manage that team. If the owner's not going to put money into it and pay for players, there's
Great
no hope.
point.
And that's the bottom line to it. And people can analyze, and I know people want to analyze it, but that's the bottom line. This is an owner-driven league. This is a dollars-driven league. It's not like the other leagues where management is what wins games because everybody's equal. Here, it's about who has the biggest paycheck. Bottom line. And
Wow.
you get lucky once in a while, and bringing up some players like the Pirates did a few years ago, and then he cleared house after that because they didn't want to pay any of those guys. So,
they
and
did
anything
spend
else
money
besides
on
that is moot, to be honest with you.
No, I know, but they just spent a little bit. First 3 years.
Yeah, good point.
What
What do you want to talk about then? You,
well,
you
a coup-
gave up on the Pirates.
couple
so
things.
Carry on.
I have a confession to make that I feel really, really terrible about, but I'm going to confess on live television. With the dearth of anything else to watch, I actually
Whoa.
watched a few NBA playoff games. So here I am before God and man
I can't.
admitting that I
I
did
find
that.
the NBA unwatchable.
It is. Here's why. 'Cause here's what happens. I watch bits and pieces. It's basically 3-point shots,
Yeah.
or 10 feet behind the 3-point shot, or uncontested layups, and sometimes slams. That's the game until the last few minutes, where if it's a blowout, they just go around the motions waiting for the next
So
game.
did you watch any of the games with the flop queen?
No, there's that. So, but if it's close, it is a altogether now free throw shooting contest. That's all they do.
Yeah.
Foul the guy, and it's a free throw shooting contest. I don't know how anybody watches that league. God bless you if you do, but it's
Hold it,
really,
I watched some
really
highlights.
unwatchable to me.
The
It's
Joker
just, it's just
had
terrible.
42 points 22 rebounds.
They're
5
uncontested. They
assists.
don't play defense. It's
Right.
not like college basketball. And if a guy dribbles in towards the basket and goes like it's a foul, boom, it's a foul. I mean, there's no rhyme or reason to it. I cannot get into it, but I had to make that mention because you called me one trick, so I wanted to talk about the NBA.
Yeah, you got three
There's
tricks
my
going.
token NBA mention for the year. What I really wanted to talk about, Sullivan, and you guys touched on it. It's not like the NFL where, people like Parcells, Bill Cowher to an extent, definitely Mike Tomlin, Belichick, of course. The longer they're there, the more power they get within the organization.
Yeah.
Right? They even supersede the GM sometimes. To my knowledge, and what do I know? But considering that the board of governors in the NHL is made up of general managers, they're the ones with the power. And Sullivan, in my mind, is kind of the antithesis of Mike Tomlin, where I think they needed a change. They say the Penguins needed a change. They needed a. I think it would have been smart to let that guy weather the storm because you guys took some of my thoughts there. That's okay.
Whoa, go ahead.
Good expanded on them is with GMJR. That guy mortgaged the future. He won 2 cups, not complaining. Okay, but then the next guy brought in horrible. I mean, what was he thinking? Some of the players that he brought in, and then this guy re-signs, probably under the pressure of management, re-signs these aging stars.
Yeah.
What the NHL playoffs should tell you right now is that star power doesn't matter in the NHL anymore. It just doesn't. For better or worse, that's why the ratings are down, in my opinion, because everything's 2-1, 3-2. You don't have stars anymore. It's gone that way throughout the entire league in the regular season and definitely carrying on in the playoffs. But that's what they are.
Yeah.
So, the Penguins tried to load up, and then they're bringing – and if that thing with McKinnon is true, then all hope is lost because – what they should have done is what Washington did, is strip it bare and rebuild around Ovechkin and make Ovechkin your token power play guy. And
Good thing Smoking's not here.
Crosby's so much more than that, right? They really made the mistake. They really could have turned it around. But my point is, with Sullivan, definitely was not this guy's fault, right? He's an X's and O's guy. To your point about baseball, in my opinion, when you reach the major league level, you're no longer should need developed. That's what the minors is for. Right? It's the same kind of the way in the NHL. Sullivan is a very, very good talking to players, respecting players, get the players. The only guy who can get anything out of worthwhile out of Phil Kessel, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, they're really going to miss. He's going to make, I agree with you, he's going to make that Rangers team, he's going to bring them over the edge, not because of development, because we can do talking to players. And I think that's a real loss by the Penguins. And they're going to search high and wide for his successor, but he's not going to be as good. Now, I get it. Why they moved on, I understand. They wanted to shuffle, but it was not Mike Sullivan's fault.
My point about Sullivan, and he's a good coach. If you give him a team, he can coach them and move them in the right direction. But I mean, if you look at the Penguins' defense since the last time they won a Stanley Cup, the Penguins' defense is just atrocious.
It's the players they brought in.
And in the NHL, you need to have a stud goaltender. You have to have a stopper.
Look who the GM signed. Exactly.
And we have not had one. Murray showed some signs of being the guy, and he fizzled out.
Yeah.
Okay, and Marc-Andre Fleury, because of salary cap limitations, they couldn't keep him. So since Murray left, they they got rid of Murray, and Murray hasn't done anything since he left.
He fell off.
They have nobody, and so your defense is porous, and your goaltenders are below average. You're never going to win in that scenario.
But my point is, that's the GM's fault. In hockey, I don't know the percentage of influence, but in hockey, it's again, these guys are the board of governors, which is nobody's ever accused the NHL of doing anything smart. You put the guys in charge of the league who all want to go 41-41 to save their jobs.
Right.
That's their intent.
Right.
You would have thought Hextall, being an ex-goaltender,
seriously
would be able to identify a goaltender.
He wasn't a good GM before he got here, and for some reason they hired him as
he was a good goaltender, though.
Good goaltender.
Yeah.
That's for darn sure. But
what's special about
Sullivan's going to come back to haunt him. It was a bad move. Blaming him for their ills was could not have been less accurate. He was the least of their problems.
You were going to say something about Kyle Dubas?
Yeah, don't forget, he might be the general manager, but don't forget he is the director of hockey operations, and he hired himself. So he's better than the rest of them.
Great point. All right, thanks, Mike. All right, Al, what's on your mind? I've been a Pirate fan my whole life. I got Chip beat. I think I was 5 years old, watched my first game because I had a baseball uniform, a hat, and all kind of things I was wearing. And I got a bright spot. I saw one play by an offensive guy. O'Neal Cruz threw a ball in on a powerful throw, got the guy out at home.
You know what, though? I saw the video from that, and let me tell you something. He was in short center field. I'm going to tell you, every single center fielder in Major League Baseball could have made that throw. That was not special. And the fact that they put a miles per hour on it, I was like, I can't believe this.
I brought, I'm sarcastic, folks. I brought it up because in Little League, my claim to fame is I'm 11 years old. I'm in right center field. I catch a fly ball at the fence. Our Green Tree boy knows the Little League field, right center field. I'm against the fence. I had a strong arm. I threw the ball in, got the guy out at home, and that started my pitching career. Coach come up to me, Alan, we're losing some pitchers. You got a strong arm. I was quiet then. He goes, you ever think of being a pitcher? I said, no. He goes, you want to be pitcher? I don't know. He goes, well, I heard you got cousins that are pitcher and catcher combo and they're good, and your dad's a coach and referee. Why don't you do it? That started my career. One straight throw, no bounce, catcher's mitt. So when I saw O'Neal Cruz, I wanted to add a little light humor, and Chip, I fed it up to you like a softball.
You hit me and throw me a softball.
I did.
I hit it every time.
I did. That's what I had to do.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that they made a big deal out of that, you're like...
I think it's the velocity's the thing, because not everybody's throwing 100 miles per hour. Like it's
well, yeah, but how many other players would somebody even bother testing or determining that? I bet you he's not the only person.
What?
Just my humble opinion.
He's among
All
the
right,
rare and the
Chief.
few.
Chief made this comment when we were talking about the power being out. He asked a little silly question. How long has the Pirates' power been out? All right, we're going to move to Nick.
Since Willie Stargell retired.
All right, 10 seconds for Nick VIP Callis time. Come on.
Talk about the Pirates and kind of put a dash of the other teams in as well. So let me just say this: when we talk about the faith that we have in the Pirates, I don't have that much faith because how many other teams exist in Major League Baseball that can't get a sustainable winning team established within a 6-year period? I mean, there are a few teams that are also in perpetual failure, but for the most part, you look at the other teams, and all the other teams are making the playoffs and making things exciting routinely. But anywhere between 5 and 8 years, they're back. They've got exciting players. They're developing people, and they're making themselves exciting. The Pirates were kind of exciting for a little bit, but then they finished with 76 wins. And it wasn't as exciting either because they did like a really good thing early on. Like their Aprils were really high in 2023 and 2024, and then everything was like sunken. 2024 was a little better. They were on a slower decline, but they never were in the wild card spot, and then they completely collapsed. And they kept using players like Rowdy Tellez that were infinitely frustrating, and they kept plugging in over and over and over again. And these are just decisions that I feel like, or better decisions were out there to be made than not. Now, Chip and I have had arguments several times over the past several years because we talk about, Chip's saying now, he's coming to it. He's saying we need change. And I've been saying we need change since 2024. I'm like, you know what, things aren't great. Maybe something different, a new hitting coach, maybe eventually a new manager. A new general manager could help. And so we go back and forth arguing, and Chip says we can't look to the past, we got to look forward. I argue that if you don't learn from the past and you don't act on certain decisions and you keep doing the same thing over and over again, you're going to keep getting the same stuff. The Pirates had everybody pumped because Paul Skeens is now on the team, And you went through that offseason and did nothing. Now, that's on the general manager. Then you have Derek Shelton, who relies too much on analytics and too much on developmental managing, I'll call it, because he seems like he puts players in the lineup just to get the playing time. When you're in year 6 of a rebuild, essentially, and if you want to cut off the COVID year 5 of a rebuild, all right, year 5 of a team that you're supposed to have properly constructed now, and you're doing those things. It's not good. I mean, one of my most frustrating moments from 2024 was I was at a game against when the Pirates were playing the Diamondbacks, and Jake Woodford got put in to a 2-run game after Colin Holderman blew the lead, and then he kept giving up runs, and the Pirates lost in a blowout, and the Diamondbacks were in the race with the Pirates at that time in August. So this is just what I'm talking about. Like, if I'm going to preach any type of opinion, if I'm going to preach anything to tell you about watching the Pirates, like, why am I not a believer? Because they have not done enough, I think, over time to really construct a winner. And on top of that, I feel like somewhere deep down I wanted to have optimism, but somewhere deep down I was also like, you know what? They're not going to do anything. Like, this is a thing. This is foreshadowing 101 with the Pirates. I felt like I was surprised in the offseason, but I also wasn't, because I'm like, yeah, they really aren't going to do anything, are they? Waiting for a move to happen, and then they didn't. So, I mean, I get it. We can keep looking backwards, and we keep saying, well, you know, we can't look back. We got to move forward. Well, move forward sooner sometimes. Like, come up with people in this organization. Like, Derek Shelton was not the manager for this season. I mean, Terry Francona was a great option. There are a lot of other great options that are out there for the Pirates, just somebody new to get in there. Get rid of the fresh manager. He had his turn. He got his origin story as a manager with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Have him go somewhere else and do whatever else based on what he's learned. But he was not good enough. He was not a good enough manager for this Pirates team. And on top of that, the players, especially in the starting lineup on offense, not good enough without the aid of maybe 1 or 2 more guys. And I've been saying that. But we're saying the same things. And when you're saying the same things about the team, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I could have seen this coming from a mile away. And that's why it's frustrating. Like, I saw it coming. And that's why I was saying maybe new guys need to be in there. Manager, it's a good time to get rid of him after the 2024 season, because you need to build on 76 wins. I truthfully don't believe they're good enough to build on 76 wins. And I had them at 84. I had a little bit of optimism that maybe they were going to do well, and I don't feel that way anymore, because they're playing terribly, and nothing's being done. And then Ben Cherington, who, looking upon his time with the Red Sox and all the praise that he got there for partially constructing their World Series championship in 2018, I mean, the dude misspent money over signing Pablo Sandoval and Hanley Ramirez back then, moving Hanley Ramirez from shortstop to left field in a terrible move. And he got himself fired from that role. He didn't make good decisions, and the general manager that followed him cleaned up and got everything in order and eventually constructed that winner. So I don't even know how much credit he should get for that at this point. But to go from overspending with the Red Sox to doing next to nothing with the Pirates, he's not my favorite guy, and I don't think he's good enough to be the general manager. Now, again, how much of this is Bob Nutting? That's a great question, but can we fire the owner? No, we can't. So, in other terms, you got to get another general manager. The Pirates got to act, get another general manager, get another manager, and, like, you can continue to sit and waste years on these guys, but I'm not one for wasting years, especially because they haven't gradually gone up in these last few years. They've been staying around the same area, and so that's really it. I don't know. I mean, it's tough. It's okay to be patient with people and be patient in these roles, but the Pirates haven't shown any type of significant improvement like they did 10 years ago with their winners. And so that's why I'm just sitting here thinking, and I've been thinking for a while, what they're doing is no good.
Thank you, Nick. You have good observations, and you're dealing in reality. So it makes it difficult. All right. Chip Painter's trivia time in 10 seconds.
All right. Well, instead of getting into trivia, and I was going to go back, take a little trip back to the year of the pitcher and go over some statistics then. But some other things are on my mind, and, you know, Nick touched on a number of them with the Pirates, and I kind of expressed my feelings earlier. There's, the city of Pittsburgh is a baseball town, and it always has been a baseball town. The Pirates have been here for 140 years, okay? And I pray that they never go anywhere else because I think they're part of the fabric of the city of Pittsburgh.
I concur.
But the look that the Pirates are giving as an organization, besides their failures on the field, we've talked about those ad nauseum. I'm talking about the failures as an organization with the way that the whole franchise is being perceived right now. And it starts with, simple little things like removing the Clemente logo and not saying anything to anybody about it and putting some kind of
advertising
sunshine ale. I'll never drink that stuff. If you gave it to me free for life, I would never drink it just because they used that to replace Clemente's logo. And Roberto Clemente was the one athlete in my entire life that I ever truly idolized. When he died, I cried, and I cried like a baby. So, there was that. Then there was the nonsense with the Bucco bricks and the people that invested time and money. And, what have they done about that besides write a few apology letters? Then you've got the incident from last Wednesday night. And I was at PNC Park last Wednesday night when the young man, regardless of, we don't know all the facts about it right now. We've heard reports of this and that. But he fell over the railing and he landed on the field. And he got horribly injured. And I'm grateful that he lived. And it seems like he's going to, bounce back from this. Who knows what kind of limitations he's going to have. And I wish the kid a speedy recovery. And I don't want to bash him for that. What I do want to bash is the fact that there had been reports that this is a young man that could have potentially been underage. That hasn't been proven or denied, yet, okay, that is drunk at a baseball game and acting like a fool, which, there's specific guidelines they tell you before each and every game about what kind of behavior you're supposed to have, what kind of decorum. And, okay, and where are the ushers? Why is nobody saying, hey, look, you got to calm down? And if he truly was acting up prior to him falling over the railing, why wasn't he escorted out? If he was visibly intoxicated, how was he getting served? Was somebody buying him beer? Did he go down and get it? These are things that can't be allowed to happen, especially on a night when there's 7,000 or 8,000 people at the ballpark. There wasn't 40,000 people there. It wasn't like somebody could have slipped through the cracks. Yeah. And then, you see the video that's all over social media now of a usher coming to the defense of a woman that was being harassed by an unruly fan, let's just put it that way. And that went horribly wrong, and it really gave the Pirates a bad look. Now, granted, somebody gets up in my face, and 30-year-old me, you'd have got up in my face like that, I wouldn't have had to hit you more than 2 times before they would have had to get a stretcher to bring you out, okay?
Whoa.
The person that I am today, not so much, okay? But that being
Maybe
said,
4 punches.
there is no cause for an usher to punch somebody in the face. And if you watch the video, the guy didn't make any threatening moves towards him. All he did was ran his mouth, okay?
I thought somebody spit somewhere.
Well, that was the second time. That was when he took his belt off and started whipping him like a mule.
Follow the chronological order.
So the usher,
deep.
which
We're
is a
deep.
really bad look, because the usher, if that fan was being unruly and harassing a woman, he came to intervene. At that point, where's security? You call security. You should have a walkie-talkie on you. You bring security in. You have the man ushered out of the stadium. You don't punch him in the face repeatedly, and then give him an opportunity to spit blood on you, which caused you to take off your belt and whip him. I mean, that is it's just a really, really bad look for the organization. And I don't know who you want to point the blame on, but I think they need to do some training with the staff at PNC Park and teach them, like, what is permissible and what is not permissible, because baseball's supposed to be a family night out, okay? And if you've got people that are launching themselves off the Clemente wall because they're drunk or whatever, okay?
He was excited.
It's a real, well, you know what? I've been excited before in my life. And let me tell you something. I've been drunk in my life too before, but I never fell off a 21-foot wall.
Sorry to pour gasoline on it, Chip. You're right.
But, you know, and to allow a unruly fan to harass another person, specifically a woman, and just to let that go untended, and you know, and it turns into people swinging at each other.
Yeah.
You know, if there would have been more people there, how much would it have taken to turn that into a riot? Okay,
Not much.
And I just think that these are the things that need to be addressed right now, and they need to be addressed immediately. Writing out letters of apology and saying this is unacceptable behavior simply isn't good enough.
Yeah.
But that's
good point.
I've spoken my mind.
All right. Thank you for that. All right. We got 10 seconds. Mike Ragin' Roadie.
Okay, so let's keep score here for a second.
Okay.
I've been just listening throughout. We've got a
Yeah,
team
you've been
that's
quiet,
we've got
yeah.
a team that's on pace to win 54 games.
Hooray.
Everybody is screaming, "Sell the team, sell the team."
Yeah.
Attendance is bleak, to
Yeah.
say the least. Fan falls off a 21-foot wall,
Yeah.
allegedly underage and out of control. There's a huge fight in the stands.
Yeah.
They cover up the Clemente sign with a beverage.
Yeah.
And there's
Well, they
that
took the
huge
sign
bricks
down
thing
and
that
put
they,
that up.
they told
Yeah.
people, you know, come pay all this money, but then years later they throw all their bricks away. What are we doing here? I mean, what you know, right? I have to say, is there any way? Is there any accountability? You know, we've talked about you can't fire the owner. You know, I've never heard of an owner getting fired. I take that back.
No, there weren't.
They forced out the Carolina Panthers
Yes.
owner. They basically forced out Junior down in Washington.
Yeah, they
Los
did.
Angeles Clippers.
And the Clippers.
Marge
Yeah.
Schott. Okay.
What was this? Donald Sterling.
Yeah.
So
Sterling.
you know, Marge Schott with the Reds. So it's not unprecedented.
They
so,
were more terrible people though than just bad owners.
Well, but it's when is
What's
when
the
is
scale?
when is
Let me
enough,
weigh the
right?
scale.
When is enough? When you got to step in, because you know that what's his name, Rob Manfred. He's got some serious problems. You know, the disparity in baseball is so bad, and you know, I always say don't get mad at the shark because it bit off the little girl's arm. That's what sharks do.
Yeah.
Okay, nutting. That's just what he is. He's a scumbag. Blah
That's
blah blah.
a great
We go on
analogy.
forever.
Yeah.
It's baseball that allows him to be a scumbag. They allow him to do that.
Right.
You know, I've always said the owner of a team is a you know, what's the word I'm looking for? They're a not placeholder. The name escaped me. I always had it. But anyway,
That's
a
all right.
steward. They're a steward. They're a steward for the city,
That is a
right?
good
And they
word.
have responsibility. You know, now I get it. You know, he's got limited funds, or so he says he does. The team's worth $1 billion. If he's losing money, he would have sold it, right? So, you know, but when is the accountability? When does it hit a threshold? I don't know if there's going to be one, or maybe there already has been some conversation.
You made
We
an
don't know.
you made an
'Cause
interesting
it's bad.
You made an interesting comment there, and I'd like to speak to that, just to get off track for a second, if I may.
Please.
Okay. Now the team is worth $1 billion. That doesn't mean that right now that they've got $1 billion pool of funds.
But he
if
could
they were
sell
to
it
sell
for $1 billion.
they could sell it.
Exactly.
But right now, that's on paper. That's not in reality. I'm going to give you an interesting, useless statistic that I heard.
Whoa.
People have always talked about Mark Cuban being the shining example of the kind of an owner that they would love to see that buy the Pittsburgh Pirates. 23 years he owned the Dallas Mavericks. Okay? He won one championship in 23 years. In 21 of those 23 years, he lost money. Now, where he made money was when he sold his interest in the team at the end of it. But for 21 of the 23 years he owned that team, he lost money.
I'm not saying someone has to lose
Interesting.
money,
I
but let's
love
go
that.
back to when the Pirates had their little blip of success.
All right.
Right? They were selling out games all the time, right? Those playoffs were an absolute madhouse. We know that. To your point, this is a baseball. Despite it all, This is still a team that badly wants to support a baseball
If they turn it around, that stadium will fill up.
But what
this
Nutting
year.
has to do and what he will not do is spend money to make money. He'd rather sit there and just take the money in. And, I can't remember who said it, but he said, for $10 million a year, would you stand down in Market Square and have people throw rotten tomatoes at you? Of course you would. That's basically what he's doing. He'd rather sit there.
I'd rather fresh.
The rotten ones don't hurt as bad when they pelt you in the head. So
Little salt,
I
yeah.
speak from experience. But anyway, no, my point is he's willing to sit back there and take it. He's not willing to spend that money to make that money. He doesn't want to take that chance. And he's a businessman. I get it. Why would he? Somebody like Mark Cuban would sink the money into it, right? Because it's to him, it's a side thing. It's just a side thing to. I saw him run out on the court after a ref one time. He's passionate about it, right?
Oh, he loves basketball.
And he loves basketball. He
I
loves
worked
his
with
team.
him as a kid. He looked like Pete Maravich. He had the long, high socks that were down. He had longer hair. He's
I'm not even
passionate.
saying. I'm not saying he had to
Here's
lose
what's-
money.
Nothing's going to change in baseball until probably after the end of next season when the players get locked out. And at that point, that's where they need to fix baseball. They've got to do something to
All
level
those
the
low-end
playing field.
owners signed off last time, and they're going to sign off this time, Chip,
Yeah.
because they get checks written by the Yankees and the Dodgers every year.
Yeah,
And they don't have to. They don't have to tell anybody
until
how
they
much
do
get.
something to fix the playing field. It's
a
just
joke.
going to be more of the same.
It's a joke.
It's just going to be more of the same.
All right.
The only thing
We're
they could
running
do.
out of time,
the only
so-
thing they could do. Last point.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is do what soccer does in Europe. Is come up with an ABC league. You can bounce up, keep the top 20 teams up top. If not, you're in the B league.
Interesting. Chief said bingo, Ragin. On location, 10 seconds, about 2 minutes. Hey, we had a great on-location pop-up last week, Saturday. Interviewed Ray Schaefer, Boxing Association, Jose, his wife Leah, and Colleen Chaos Davis fights on Friday night in Orlando, Florida. Check out the interview. Vinny helped with it. We filmed it inside their ring, and it's a historic gym there, one of the oldest gyms there in the Pittsburgh area. Ray Schaefer, Boxing Association, Main Street, Sharpsburg. Can't miss it. Just a great day there. The pizza was great at the end. No offense against Olive Oil's pizza, but we had some delicious pizza there. Jose came through. Very interesting comments about why you should join his gym. Not only does he train boxers, men and women if they want to get in shape, kids, they teach them boxing, and they'll help anybody out, and they're very good with health and eating and everything else. And they're thinking about doing another on-location, win or lose, with Chaos Davis. So stay tuned for that in the next week or two. She's fighting Friday night. We had so much fun. It was just great being there. And I missed the Kentucky Derby, and number 18, Sovereignty, won. And some people picked that, and it was in the rain, so it's called a mutter. The horse that can win in a rain is called a mutter because of all the mud.
Is there a potential for a Triple Crown winner this
They're
year?
saying that the top two horses aren't going to be in the Preakness.
We're out of time.
I thought I had 30 seconds.
Nope.